All right, this is gonna be so different. All right, let me know if y'all fucking with this angle. Dude, every time I say like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," I totally forget that I have to actually do it. Like when it's, "Oh, I gotta do videos every week," like I forget I actually have to do and like post videos every week. But I'm doing that shit. I'm doing it, and I apologize. I know I curse like a sailor on here, but the intention isn't to curse. It's just how I express myself. It's one of those ways which I do, and I hope you can get over that. You'll understand that. I know you could appreciate that right now while I'm just just chatting you guys up, but I hope you guys understand that the me cursing is a lot less to do with me actually cursing and a lot more to do with me just being passionate about what I'm saying, and that just feels like the most direct word to use to get you to understand and feel the emotion that I'm putting behind that. Oh man, it's like I'm not just saying like, oh f, or like, oh s, or like for some word. Like, my people who utilize the English language, I know you guys feel me. So I'm not even tripping about that. I don't even know why I had to explain that, but maybe if there's young people that are watching this. But if there are, then just go ahead and somebody else can edit and bleep that out. But this is, I guess, one of the consequences you have to pay by listening to somebody who's authentic. You got to hear the whole full expression and decide whether or not it's something you're willing to appreciate or not. But that's the risk I take creating content, and that's a risk I'm willing to take because that's only going to lead me closer to the people who I need to be around and who I can create this value for. I don't know how to start with an intro, so that was basically it. But welcome back to another episode of This Too Deep. Um, Thank you for joining us. That's always when I want to start with. Just every day I wake up, every episode I start this video, I want to make sure that I'm starting with gratitude and appreciation because this could be just me speaking to myself. And as sad as that would be, you know, that'd be horrible. And I'm very, very thankful that even one of you guys sits here and subscribes to the channel, turns the notifications on, likes, comments, participates in the community. Like, it's just every single person, every single bit of engagement is just so much more inspiring to continue to make this content and continue to make this work. So I want to thank you guys for inspiring me just as much as hopefully, I can inspire you with this little bit of analysis and theorizing, philosophizing I be doing on here. But yeah, we're getting into capitalism today. I've been doing a lot of just loose research and just attempting to understand from different perspectives what capitalism is and just what kind of capitalism we're living in, because if I'm being honest, I may disappoint a lot of people right now, but I don't think the problem is capitalism for the most part. I just believe that capitalism has too many open back doors to where if somebody can structure themselves in an entity properly to put it into a capitalist system that is not properly regulated and led, it'll be exploited and just become an extraction process to whatever community it's going to be integrated in. And that is what further destroys and divides what, the main essential thing that we're going to be talking about here. It's opposition, which is conscious community. So I hope you have your strong beliefs about capitalism. I hope you're ready to fight to the death, tooth and nail in the comments, because I don't give a fuck. But hopefully these theories that I've been having and just this analysis of capitalism as it is gives you an opportunity to, see where you lie in this whole system and understand how you participate in it, but on even a deeper level, give you a sense of understanding as to where we could go as a people if we truly commit to recommitting our energy to something that can reciprocate on the same level that we give, whether that's our labor, whether that's our attention, whether that's our time, our love, our belief, our faith. can we create a system to where we can reciprocate and get our energy back, or at least, something of equal value, rather than giving to a system that we now know, like we have seen through the veil, and we now know that rich people are just hoarding the wealth, not for their family, for their legacy or nothing, just so we don't have it. Just so we can't appreciate our lives more than we appreciate them being able to abuse abundance and live theirs and just piss all over us from their Mount Olympus. So go ahead, like, subscribe, share this to everybody, bro. Share this to everybody you know. I want the president to see this. You know what? I want Bernie Sanders to see this, because he's talking about freaking anti-capitalism and whatnot. He wrote a whole book about it's okay to be angry at capitalism, but I'm telling you, like, Bernie, pipe down, bro. Pipe down. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm sorry. I had to be the one to say it. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not even going to read the book. I'm just going to hate. But let's get into this video. All right. I'm not even going to waste too much of your time. We're really just going to get straight into this. You know I love triangles. You know that. Triangle means, a triangle with an I in it means we're going to analyze something. And today, we're analyzing capitalism. And I guess, really, I'm giving just my personal presentation as to why I believe the current form of capitalism we're living under is just financially regulated narcissism. And it's basically just wealthy people utilizing a system that is well past broken and continuing to reinforce the systems or reinvigorate the systems of wealth exploitation and community relationship destruction to continue to extract every bit of wealth they can out of every single human being that is not part of the socially acceptable class, which basically at the end of the day will push you to the point as a human being to needing to exchange your soul in return for justification for your existence. Because the only thing that these masters of today can't do is take your soul out of your body and extract the wealth from it and then throw your meat sack on the ground. Because we need you to keep creating more meat sacks to do that too. And if we can just create a system where you enslave yourself in your own mind, and you are so separated and so afraid of other people that you don't convene with them, you don't build and connect and share and empathize with them, and you're so afraid and lonely that you have to seek out salvation that is in the form of delusion, psychosis, that allows you to be easily manipulated. Hey, maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe I'm doing too much. But I really feel like it's important that we understand at least capitalism, or we look at capitalism and parallel it with narcissistic abuse systems and behaviors and traits, and start to understand how this system is quite literally extracting the human soul out of earth. Oh my goodness. And maybe that's going to sound a little too much. Maybe that's going to sound a little crazy, a little, psychosis. But forgive me, because I'm a very existential thinker, and I believe that the world has actually gotten to a place where we have been able to connect so well to each other. We have to understand this world from a position of all being one human race now, and not being separated by borders or by ignorance or by just our inability to heal our past trauma. So let's get ready to get into this. First, I'm going to speak on this purple part of each section, because that is actually what's going to be the foundation of capitalism and how it roots itself into the most important parts of our society, and then pimps us out as individuals to make sure that we can continue to validate the system that isn't serving us back. All right. So in this one, basically the economic section of our triangle is purpose, experience, reinforcement. People being given the opportunity and the resources to fulfill a lifestyle, a purposeful and intentional lifestyle. Whether it's work, whether it's education, some kind of skill development, some kind of community contribution, but this is the economic regulation of the system. Mind you, it's difficult to provide people opportunity and resources when they all get hoarded by people who already have an abusively excessive access to resources that they aren't utilizing. Next, we'll go to tribal reinforcement. Tribal reinforcement is every individual's sense of community and their ability to be not only recognized, but appreciated and supported by said community. It's really difficult to develop a sense of community in a world where business owners need to get as deep as possible or as in front of your eyes as possible to get you to buy as many dreams as possible and get you addicted to buying rather than allow you to buy things intentionally and appreciate them with the community that you are a part of. And don't even let me get into social media and my good friend Mark Zuckerberg saying that he's connecting people around the world. But how do you become a multi-hundred billionaire, if he is, by connecting people? It almost seems like you've extracted people, the wealth, out of providing people the opportunity to connect with each other. But really, if you wanted people to connect, wouldn't you just give them an opportunity to pay their bills, to take care of their business, to maybe have a hobby, to, provide in their relationships, to be present in their lives, to the people that they're actually seeing every single day in their real lives rather than the people that they're lurking on social media for? Like, imagine what everybody could do with a properly allocated $100 billion. Like, why does Mark Zuckerberg need that underneath his social security number? Knowing how many issues Facebook has actually, I have a whole thing on him, so we're going to get into that at another point, all right? I just want you to focus on this being the individual's sense of community, which more times than not is the baseline foundational reinforcement that they have for their self-concept. A lot of people are running around this world with no parents, no home training, no place to unmask and call home, no place to be appreciated, no support, no connection, no nothing. Remember that when you think about the world that we're living in and how people are responding and how people act and how people behave. Remember that. And the final one is divine reinforcement. So basically, since this is the material, these two are more material sense. Your engagement within your community, your engagement within your household or your tribe, your people, your relationships. And this is your engagement with wherever your divine reinforcement is. For people like me, I believe that salvation comes from within, and we are all like multi-generational consequences of our ancestors, and that is the divinity that we're connected to. And of course there's like a greater source that has like, well-intentioned for us and whatnot, but we can appreciate that greater source by appreciating each other, appreciating this earth, appreciating the life that we've been given. We don't need to colonize and conquer people or forcefully save people after destroying everything that they have, to feel like we are these children of God. We are children of God because we are naturally. That's what people like me believe. But people like general society who are afraid and connected to or feel obligated to needing a sense of like goodness or to be associated with goodness, They believe that salvation is external, and you're sitting here under a microscope every single day that you live, waiting to be judged, because at the end of your life, you're hoping to get into the exclusive party that rich people are just going to buy their way into, if it even exists. But the exclusive party that they're waiting to get into after suffering a whole lifetime on earth is just socialism, maybe. Forgive me, it's just like I have to remember, like, not everybody is here yet. Like, a lot of people are still stuck in the game, and it's not even their fault, but it's just like they're still so deep into it simply because, like, you're almost you're everybody who has any kind of identity or any kind of well-being or sustenance outside of this system that invalidates this system's ability to fulfill your life just gets humiliated or just gets shamed out of existence. And it's like, what's the point even? But hopefully we have a clear understanding as to the pillars that I'm going to address. And I'm going to reinforce again, the 3 and multiples of 3 are very important numbers. 3, 6, and 9, forgive me, are very important numbers in the universe. I hope you guys understand that. Always remember that. And the triangle is a very important thing too. Not too sure. I mean, pyramids, of course, but I haven't done too much research specifically on why. But definitely the universal geometry is important. So maybe in one of these episodes, we'll get into that and understanding the kind of significance behind that. Or we'll speak to somebody. That would be kind of cool. But now we know what the foundations are that we're going to get into. And I'm thinking the next step we should go, the next place we should go from here, let me just make sure we're still recording first. I'm thinking the next place to go from here is understanding first, before we speak about the consequences of the current system, which are in red, the current kind of capitalism we're living in, and then my theory as to how it could work properly until we get into a space to where we know what the next system is to get into that actually accommodates humanity, will be in blue. So hope for the future, and then consequences of our past. But I think it's very important that I first start with this and letting you guys know capitalism has to serve a master. It has to serve a master. And that's where the problem rings with it. And that's why it's so, like, I know I say, like, okay, capitalism could work, but it's like on the line, because it has to serve a master. And if there isn't enough regulations reminding the system and the people who run it who that master is, the system fails every time. And then those masters start trying to do everything they can to force the system to stay that way. And the only way out, quite literally, is self-destructing the system, or enough people finding a way to regulate the self instead of selling themselves to this system to give it validation. Oh, forgive me. So that master can be one of 2 entities. One, a centralized ruling class that just has too much power and uses capitalism as a wealth extraction process to basically extract the wealth out of communities, extract the value out of culture, extract the everything good and hoard it at the top, and then sell that illusion of heaven basically on earth to people on planet Earth. So really, at the end of the day, being rich is the real heaven that is being sold. And if you can't be rich on earth, then you just listen to everything the rich people tell you on earth, and you will be rich in rich people heaven. after you die here. This shit is so crazy. But remember, yeah, get back to the point because I know I'm getting lost actually here. The capitalism can only serve a small, centralized group of people, which more times than not will cosplay themselves, like the Wizard of Oz, as a divine figure, divine reinforcement, and they will say, oh, we are the children of this divine reinforcement. And we actually know everything that this person says, and nobody else knows what this person says, but this person is the only God ever, and they know everything, and they're perfect, and nothing can be wrong. And only us know what he says and can listen to him, and he only communicates through us. It's interesting, huh? That almost seems like giving people absolute power when you can't fully enslave them through the economic system, and you can't completely decimate and divide them through the family structure system and the political organizational structure. Okay? Or, which is what I have the hope for, capitalism, until we find a better system, can be utilized to serve the people. But that means if we understand what that means, we would have to have something that is non-human, like AI, regulate capitalism. So there's no benefit to sabotaging humanity for AI, because AI would be nothing without having humanity continue to regulate it. But that would mean people cannot be in that position to exploit this system, but we can better regulate the system and better allocate resources from it. In my eyes, at least. It's just there's some gene that's in human beings that doesn't allow us to exist with that much power, with such a centralized amount of power that is just so abundant, and not use it to just fulfill every single desire and just completely get lost from like what reality is and what the responsibility of abundance is, which is to serve those who lack. But when the people are the master of capitalism, the leaders of society actually have the most difficult position ever, because they are supposed to better lead the people and better regulate the systems to make sure the people are being served so the people can do what they need to do, which is literally uphold society. And then the people can be appreciated. The leaders are only here to facilitate upholding grand society, not exploit everybody's attention, exploit everybody's salvation to a point where we have to depend on watching them play their little class president game, watching them go to their Met galas and their whatnot, hearing about their bohemian groves. Now I'm playing. I'm starting to get conspiracy here. My bad. But capitalism serving the master. I think the scariest thing about the capitalism we are living under, which we'll call it capitalism serving the master, is the simple fact that if you can go back and remember me talking about the Wizard of Oz theory and how there's a small group of people who is saying that they are connected to a all divine God, and that all divine God tells them what to do, and therefore they have divine authority over all of us by proxy, then you got to realize, who is that small group of people playing God to us? Who are they serving? If they are creating a manifestation of a God to enslave our ignorance, who do they really serve above them? Because in this world of power and power struggle, everybody is enslaved. The slaves are enslaved to the system, to the master, and the master is enslaved to the game, or whoever allows him the opportunity to exploit such a broken game. But who is that? What divine reinforcement does the master's class have? Does that high centralized, hyperabundant group of people, what master do they serve that allows them to believe that this is real and that they can be sociopathic enough to create Mount Olympus with the resources of the same people that they step and piss on every single day? You ever think about that? Now you can start getting into conspiracy theories. That's if you want to, though. All I'm doing is leading you to the door, but I've never been on the other side of that door. And I'm damn sure not telling you to open it. But it seems pretty damn fishy when you come to the conclusion. But let's speak about, now that we understand capitalism is not serving the right master, it's important that we get into understanding capitalism is initiated onto a conscious community, onto a community that's already working properly. This is why they have to run everyone's history, because indigenous communities in America were already working properly. They were already spiritually connected, already in conscious communities, already sharing culture and customs and art. It was happening in Africa too. It's happening in Asia. It's happening in Central America. It's happening everywhere, even in some of these European countries. But you have to, when it's sick individuals who are seeking an opportunity in a land that they know nothing of, and they are justified in completely destroying to create their own kingdom, you kind of, this is almost like this is like it's not like a whip, it's like you see the conscious community and you want to colonize it, and capitalism is one of the clamps, one of the chains that you put onto this conscious community to destroy it, and then to just extract all the wealth out of it, and then feed the people of that conscious community a bunch of bullshit, a bunch of lies, a bunch of nasty nothing to get addicted to, because you'd rather have them addicted to conditional love and conditional abundance, because they'll keep coming back to you rather than just giving them what you took from them, because that is their connection to their divinity. And that gets us into the divine equation that creates capitalism. That is me, the capitalist, who is broke and who's a scammer, sees somebody who already is regulating something of high value. I have to convince you to need something that you want, that I have, and I can only give to you if you exchange your real value for the illusion of what I'm giving you. I have 0, you have 1. I ask you for 1 in exchange for my 0 because I've convinced you of the wealth of my 0. There is no wealth in my 0. I'm taking your real 1 in exchange for my 0 because I'm promising you, maybe in a future date, maybe in another world, maybe in another time, that this 0 will turn into something better than what this 1 is. And really, at the end of the day, if you don't take it, I'll just beat you into taking it. Or do other things, a slew of other things, to getting that 1 out of you. And then realizing that you can't live without that 1, I give you a 0.5 here, I give you a 0.25 there, I give you little bits, 0.001, and I tell you that you can only get this much. You're only allowed to have a certain amount, and you can only get through me. And constantly selling them dreams, sell them the dream, the 0, colonize their reality, take their real wealth from them, and continue to sell them the dream and sell them the dream as long as you possibly can, hoping they don't realize that you gave them a 0 and they gave you a 1, because they're going to get real mad when they realize that shit. Or hoping you can continue to convince them long enough to suspend the responsibility of stealing somebody else's reality onto your descendants, who don't even understand how sick and vile what you did was and how somebody is going to have to pay for the karma. That's what the problem is with capitalism. And going back to that thing I was just talking about maybe like 10 minutes ago, capitalism has to destroy your past. It has to destroy your sense, your connection to your history and your ancestry, so you don't understand what you had access to before capitalism came in and started extracting all of our wealth was more valuable than any dream capitalism sold you. You just bit the wrong dream, or were just too vulnerable, too naive, too ignorant in a position, or just maybe they were just beating you down with warfare and stripping your resources to a point where you had to depend on their dreams, and now you have to live and literally gain your salvation and your sense of self-concept and meaning and purpose through the dreams they create for you. You have to live through them. And that's why I say you create addicts. Hold on, let me make sure this is still recording. And that's why I'm always going to say capitalism, it takes your 1 in exchange for a 0, which is supposed to be a 2 maybe in the future, which it'll never be, because capitalism came to the game with no value to present you with, and you somehow bit the bait. Now, capitalism has to create addicts. And we'll just go into 2 just like real minor examples. Okay. When you don't have the love and the reinforcement from your parents, the people who created you, you are going to be out in the world seeking that through everybody, seeking that through everything, hoping that somebody is going to reinforce a sense of self-concept that you can accept, that allows you to feel comfortable being who you are. Ask any mental health professional about that. If you don't get that reinforcement, you're already fucked, because your sense of identity is already broken now. But now, looking into the world, now people can manipulate you based on telling you what you want to hear, now to get you to do what they want you to do in exchange for being given back your self-concept. And you could be seeking this from people through sex. You could be seeking it through money. You can be seeking it through just engaging with people, hanging around the wrong crowd, because you're hoping for one day that person, that football player, that cheerleader, that somebody, that professor, that employer is going to validate you the way that your parent was supposed to. And what hurts you even more is that your parent is still alive and they still won't give you that validation. My fucking bad. So, of course, you get addicted to transactional relationships. And of course, it's so easy, because we are constantly exchanging this need for acceptance and validation amongst people that don't even accept themselves, bro. We're just moving so fast in this world. We feel like but also, I want to attribute a lot of that to social media creating a bunch of main characters, which we'll get into maybe in this video, honestly, because I'm feeling passionate about shitting on Mark Zuckerberg. But then you add social media into that, create a bunch of people who are a bunch of main characters. There's no way for people to really build in community other than just align with shared interest, but not truly create groups that force them to support each other and be there and present themselves for each other and be authentic. Now everybody feels like, okay, well, I'm using everybody in this world to serve my character, myself, because I deserve this. Your first team that you played on was your family, and the coaches probably sucked. You probably got shit opportunities, but that is reinforcing itself in our relationship culture, in our lack of third spaces and community engagement culture, in our lack of community appreciation, in our lack of wanting to stay in your hometown and make it better than it was when you were born. But keep on chasing that validation, gang. I'm telling you, one day it's going to find you and it's going to slap you so damn hard in the face, bro, that you're going to ruin it. All right. And then the second form of addiction that's created is simply by, if you want to call it like debt slavery or wage slavery, just keeping people in cycles to think that working for 40 years, their life is going to stay the exact same. The economy is going to stay the exact same. They're not going to need to move. They're not going to see a death in the family. They're not going to, go through a breakup, something crazy, a catastrophic event. 40 to 60 years, and it's just going to be this. They sold you this. 40, 60 years, you're going to work the same job, doing the same skills, working with the same clients, and you're going to go like this. And you don't go to school. You go to church every week, but you don't learn anything in there. You're just donating to a motivational speaker. And you also don't have a real sense of community because all your money goes to the boss and not back to you to spend that money back in the community that you live in. And somehow your wealth is supposed to keep going like this. And there's no collective financial literacy or collective desire for like an educational standard that forces people to know basic opportunities by the time they come 18. And you think your wealth is going to go like this. Bosses are increasing their amount of wealth every single day, exploiting their workers every single day. And you think your wealth is going to go like this. As somebody who works the same job, doing the same thing Monday to Friday, 40 hours a week, maybe 50 now. You think your wealth is going to go like this? It's not funny. It's not funny. And I have to realize that, I have a lot of regular American people, everyday people on my platform. I am an everyday person. And it's just sad to me to see so many of my brothers and sisters and my theys and thems and my people who don't even go by any of those titles being exploited by a system that does not appreciate us or even give us the time, space, and resources to invest in ourselves and maybe appreciate this society through our existence. Not by proving ourselves so much every single day, not by forcing ourselves to find some kind of value to be exploited or some kind of skill to be exploited within ourselves, instead of just finding another reason to appreciate just existing every single day. Doing what we do every day. Taking the time that it takes to do what we do, struggling through what we do. All these things that don't come with dollar signs and transaction reports on them that they're holding us back from. Sad, man. And we become addicted to this system, and this kind of scarcity mindset creates consumer addicts. Let's remember that the only reason we're addicted to consumerism is because we are constantly chasing conditional satisfaction because we don't have unconditional support and reinforcement. And you know what that leads to? Everybody knowing deep in their soul they need a spiritual routine and a spiritual awareness and a spiritual community. But America knows that. And America knows how important it is to manipulate and to have ownership over people who are willing to do anything underneath divine reinforcement. And that's where we create Christo-fascism. This is the fail-safe, the final addictive substance of this fear of God matrix that we're existing under. And one thing I'm realizing is that people are going to absolutely hate me for all this stuff that I'm saying, because I'm going in on systems that people have built their whole entire lives and identities on, but I really don't have the time or the patience to care right now. If late stage capitalism is punishing me, it's punishing all of you too. But if you really think about it, in a very, very funny visual, when we exploit these two groups of people, community and people's sense of community, and then we also go and exploit people's everything that people do in their labor, and then also stop their ability to actualize outside of being slaves, we're just creating people who either have ridiculous health problems, or we're creating people who are just waiting to find some kind of eternal salvation from their suffering, from the capitalism that's beating their ass all day, from the lack of community that's making them feel lonely and invalidated and insecure and really giving them low self-esteem. Like, we need something to save us. Oh. White Jesus with blue hair. I mean, with blonde hair and blue eyes. And he was born in Africa? In the desert? Did I say blonde hair and blue eyes? But in a very, very short sense, and I think we're slowly getting ready to address this in American society, at least as people are seeing the whole Trump MAGA cult and how they're aligning Trump with, like, you know, the second coming of Jesus Christ. I mean, you guys could have chosen like John Stamos or something, just like anybody other than that. Freaking Channing Tatum, freaking Brad Pitt, another white boy of the month. You guys had to go with Donald Trump. My God damn, bro. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to sit here and pay my respects to that dude, bro, because I don't know how he does it. And he doesn't give a fuck. But we're gonna be paying the consequences for that at some point in this country. And it might be in November. But you know, hopefully we're gonna, what needs to happen happens. And you know, we as a people just get closer together and we turn this system in a way that it needs to get turned. But this is why, and you know what? It'd be beautiful if I had the technical skills to turn that red and turn that red, but we're already here, and I'm just going to give you what I'm trying to tell you right here. The greatest thing that Christianity ever did, actually, if you think about this, actually, forgive me, I'm developing a new thought right now. I'm deciding what angle I'm going to take on this, because I know this is a very, very, very touchy subject, especially to Americans. All right. So think about this. Think about this. I don't know when Christianity somehow was just synonymous with positive spirituality, like divine spirituality, but somehow it did. In a world full of wars, endless wars, Christianity became the dominant religion. Who fucking knew? And there's two modes of accessing salvation through these people. And I want you to understand, we're even going to get into the point that explains how healthcare, even our healthcare system, is a part of our spirituality, and the fact that we've abandoned seeking spirituality in daily life, in nature, in our humanity, in our health, in our wellness. We've abandoned that aspect of spirituality, only makes us more susceptible and more vulnerable to be manipulated and enslaved into these cults of ignorance and external salvation, taking us away from reinforcing the truth, which is our ability to save and be there for ourselves every single day. And then from that foundation, being here for others, those in our community, those that we interact with, those that we live as human beings with, among. Forgive me for that. But This, I want to call it forced salvation, but in this day and age, you can't really force salvation, but you can gaslight people into thinking that they're not good human beings without being a part of your religion. You can think, well, if these people from their perspective, well, if I worship this God who literally is the source of my reality, so much so, what could they be worshiping the same? And newsflash, nothing. Maybe myself, but like nothing. No, nothing deserves to be worshipped with your whole entire soul other than something that can reciprocate that back to you and the reality you live in. And that God only reciprocates to a certain demographic of people. And then, even deeper than that, a certain demographic of people that have three legs. I don't even want to call it three legs. I'll call it two legs and a thumb. Actually, this is going to get me canceled. Let's stick to the script. Stick to the script. Instead of forcing salvation and just by telling people, hey, here's all these Bibles, you're going to read this religion, you're not going to do any other religion, and if you do, we're going to gaslight you into thinking you're a shitty person for not following our religion. And for those of you that we can't control in this way, or just generationally by getting people to come to the church and then having a bunch of kids through the church and then, reproducing our slaves, we'll just excommunicate you so hard from whatever is socially acceptable that we will make you feel crazy for existing outside of our own spiritual psychosis, our own socially acceptable spiritual psychosis. This one specifically is self-induced schizophrenia, but that's another conversation. For those of you that we can't enslave on your own free will, we're going to find a way to sedate your authentic identity and make sure that you shave everything off of you that we don't find socially acceptable, or fix yourself so you can be properly exploited by this system, and then eventually at some point find out that nothing that we give you in this system is enough, and now you have to get your salvation through us because we knew we were backing you in this corner. We knew we were making you delusional. We knew we were indoctrinating you. We know it all, because why the fuck are we doing this? It's simple. It's simple. And just a kind of loose note right here, like I feel bad for all like the young marginalized people that apply to go to Harvard and to go to Yale, thinking that like, oh, this is going to give me the opportunity that I'm looking for in the real world, not knowing that it's like these type of men have a system, and you will never surpass them in that system. But in the real world, where like people are breathing oxygen and touching grass, we're all human, and we can all support each other in the ways that best complement each other's abilities and each other's weaknesses. And then we can appreciate the value that gets created off of being able to suspend our ego and get into our soul and work together. But maybe I'm the one that's crazy for that. Maybe I should just shut the fuck up, because rich people with all the money, maybe they know what's happening. And maybe we should just follow what they do, because that's gotten us so far on. But this is an interesting section when I say sedate and corrective health, because you got to also think about, because we're so individualistic and we don't know how to ask others and depend on others for support. I think a lot of people actually rarely get help, or they only get help when they're like within life and death. Meaning, there's also a lot of people in that group that self-medicate, and also all the ways that self-medicating is popular in pop culture, whether that's alcohol culture, whether that's, pill popping in music. For damn sure I'm not going to ask smoking weed. That is not no drug, bro. But I say sedative because anything that after you've already suffered through this, not even being able to benefit from these systems, now you're just going to escape the fact that this reality is shit and that you are suffering because of it. And it's not your fault. And we could hold the people whose fault it is accountable, but we don't because they fund this reality, because they've extracted all the wealth from it. So now we have to wait and beg them. We have to knob them off until they decide what nut determines that we deserve our human rights back. And it's never going to happen. So they can just keep getting us, knobbing them off all the time, bro, thinking that it's going to come and it never will. But they will every single time, if you know what I'm saying. And before I even, let me make sure this is still recording. And just one more thing I wanted to add to in this healthcare system, because well, really, if you think about it, this is, I mean, capitalism has even gotten its way into healthcare, destroying insurance policies for people, destroying people's ability to access healthcare, destroying people's ability to trust the healthcare system, destroying people's ability to have a healthy sense of wellness that isn't exploited by meat companies lobbying the government to be on the top of the fucking pyramid, the diet pyramid. Like, are you kidding me? It's all about money. It's all money. Follow the money, seek the money, look for the money, know the money, understand that the money, I mean, in this system, it's all about the money. This is exactly why I wrote cash flows everything around me right here. But I didn't really get into this to speak too much about that. One thing that I'm saying is that I don't want you to take this video or me speaking down on traditional systems of healthcare and accommodation as like, oh, we need to rebel against all healthcare workers and we need to turn against every scientist and every Harvard graduate and whatnot. Like, no. We got to realize as the poors, as regular people, and the poors means like anything below like 10 million. But as the poors, we have to utilize every single opportunity we get to better ourselves, to better our education, to better our communities, to better engage with people around us, to better our lives. We have to take every opportunity because we don't have access to the abundance that these rich people have stolen from us. And with that being said, I want to finish off this last section with, I have somebody that I love very deeply that works in traditional healthcare. And I'm recognizing every day, and I'm glad to be in such close proximity to somebody who works in healthcare, because I can see what the systems that we have in place right now, it's the best thing we have. You have to accept the fact it's the best thing that we have. It's all we have right now. And we have to utilize this opportunity to create better accommodations, to engage better in the community, to do their, but we're either depending on this to continue to go out into a world that exploits and abuses and destroys us every day, or we utilize this little bit of salvation, this little bit of support that we can get, we utilize every bit of it, and we create more value in bettering ourselves to give us more value to extend into a new world that continues to reciprocate the value we create back to us. The problem is, it's more convenient to think that everybody has their own problems and they're responsible for taking care of them. And, just solve your problems and get back to the game. Stop complaining. It's more convenient to say that, especially when you don't give a fuck about people, than it is to say, you know what? The people who are in healthcare right now, they're doing the best they can. They're trying. They're giving us everything, their knowledge, their time, their effort. And think about just COVID in 2020, COVID-19. How many of our healthcare professionals were invalidated, but they were overworking, underpaid, at risk of dying, getting a deadly disease? And somehow rich people with advertising money could convince you that a deadly pandemic was not real and we should get back into society partying and working as soon as possible. We can't even take a year off. You know why? Because this whole entire country is an experiment. It's all a lie. And if you remember earlier in the video when I was telling you that, hey, if I can convince you that this zero I got is going to be worth more than your one that you really have right now, then I can just steal your reality and get you dependent on whatever bullshit I feed you to keep you believing that that two might come at some point. That's what we're living through right now as Americans. We're waiting on that zero to appreciate, and it never has. And we've kept on giving our one so much so, this person now has 1 million ones. And we still have zero waiting for it to become two. I really, really hope that makes sense, guys. I really hope that makes sense. But understand that it's going to be so important for us as a people to not only educate ourselves onto all these systems that are really fucking us up, but having some deep, deep, deep empathy for each other, knowing that social media has us living in this delusional reality and has allowed a lot of us to abandon taking care of this real reality that we are now at the brink of losing. Let's find a way to either utilize this to better this and all the people that live in here before going further into this, completely sacrificing this for the ultimate comfort, the ultimate salvation, which really is just, what can this system be? The culture of capitalism itself is consumerism. The only true salvation this system can give you, when it can't already provide you value before it comes and exploits you, is what? Eternal consumption. Eternal enslavement to consumption until you can't consume anymore. And by the time you're done consuming, you're going to realize that you spent so much time consuming that you never really got the time to value and appreciate anything that came into your life. But you got to take those regrets to the grave in a world that continues to be deprived of opportunities to appreciate the life that is right in front of them. So I hope all of you capitalist bootlickers can look at this video, if you even made it this far, hopefully to God you did, and realize I'm pissing on everybody this year. Y'all wanted the truth? Y'all wanted me to come out of hiding, bro? This is what I've been working on. And I hope to God to see a world that I can actually appreciate living and dying in before I get to that point in my life. But this is the little bits of information that I have to add, that I have to present to you, and I hope that it means something. I really hope it means something. Damn. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. You know what? I really should have. I feel like I've explained the red properly enough to where I don't need to explain the blue. I feel like those are pretty self-explanatory right now, because it's quite literally the opposite of the system that we're living in right now. And being the opposite of the system we're living in right now, meaning the red, living in a world where the red is dominant, all the power is exploited to one corner. Living in a world where the blue is dominant, power is allocated to everybody, and we expand the triangle based on our ability to properly allocate energy and expand based on the value we're creating. So there is no master, there is only regulators. I'm excited to see what the world turns into, man. I'm really excited to see what the world turns into. But until then, let's keep learning, let's keep growing, let's be patient with each other. Let's understand that we are all suffering through late stage capitalism. If the only thing you could do is get up in the morning and get sexy, go to work, shit, I mean, hang out with your friends, stay in touch with your community, maybe even play the video game. The only thing you can do is smoke a little bit of weed, bro, and just, thank God that you're alive. Do that. Start to release this illusion of standards that are coming from social media, especially coming from social media. But start to release the illusion and start to really create a standard within your own life. What do you value? How do you reinforce that value that you create from within you? How do you show and express that to the world? Who are you? And why should we value and appreciate that? That's your homework for tonight. How can you contribute to a world that doesn't only give everybody opportunity and access to the abundance, but it's your responsibility to contribute something to that collective? What value do you bring to that? If anything, seek that, understand that, and know that only you can decide what that is, and only you can decide when you bring that to the world. And nobody is going to be able to validate that in you until you do in yourself first, because the only thing that people validate in you is what they see. More times than not, that's what they see or what they wish they could see in themselves. More times than not, that's not in your best interest. But hey, you know what? Be smart, be sexy, continue to take care of yourself, continue to respect the people in your life, continue to be real as fuck. Like, are you kidding me? Be authentic. Everything is crashing down. This is the best time. Like, there's too much going on for people to give a fuck about you starting to be yourself, especially on the internet. Do yourself a favor and start expanding beyond this freaking pimp show that is capitalism and all the other systems that reinforce this white supremacist, male-dominated freaking exploitation game. And maybe we'll get to something worth appreciating in this society. Thank you for listening to me speak today. If you feel like, being a fan, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and check me out on TikTok if you didn't already come from there. TikTok at this point in time is Disney the Wizard, DISANITHEWIZARD. And I would plug my regular Instagram, but I'm not really feeling like participating in the evil eye games with anybody. So I'm going to plug my clothing brand Instagram because we're about to drop something for the summer, springtime real soon here. You might see me wearing a shirt in one of these next episodes. So go check us out on the Instagram. It's Cosmic Nomads, Rebel Souls, COSMICNOMADZREBELSOULS. I hope I didn't add an email at the end of that. I was just about to. But yeah, get in the comments and let me know you're here. Let me know you're live. Let me know that this content is worth appreciating, worth being here for. I had an alarm just go off, meaning that my car might get towed if I don't move it right now. So I will catch you on the flip side.